You want it to be one way.
What?
You want it to be one way.
Man, I don't
You
know
want it
what
to
you...
be one
Man,
way.
stop! Stop saying that.
But it's the other way.
Ooh-wee. So Ryan Garcia pulls out of the Devin Haney negotiations to set up a fight for the first quarter of this year and moves into negotiations with a Rolly Romero. Claims that Rolly Romero was the bigger fight to be made. And at the same time, this coming on the back end of Floyd Mayweather Jr. campaigning for Ryan Garcia as one of the biggest pay-per-view stars in America. One of three, according to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Do these have anything to do with each other? It's a lot to unpack, but you know we're going to do it here. It's your boy, Claymore Rain. This is an ATP Combat Media Show. Let's go! Right. Let's lock in. It's your boy, Claymore Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. Welcome one, welcome all. Shout out to my subscribers. If this is your first time catching the content, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe. And I definitely encourage you to go ahead and hit that bell icon so you get all the alerts on the content that's being released. Well. This thing shows up again. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, me personally, I am what I like to call a traditional boxing fan. Excuse me. What do I mean by that? That means I'm from another era of boxing where the best were always looking to fight the best. It didn't seem so difficult to get the best to fight the best in the era of boxing that I come from. This new era of boxing where this is the most difficult thing to put together. Promotional companies have these lines, these imaginary lines around these boxers, you know, and it's impossible for us to get what we want to see. So what do we have? This morning, Ryan Garcia goes and he hits his Twitter fingers and he puts out that he's instructed his team, being Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, and all those who are affiliated with the company and promotional company known as Golden Boy. He's instructed them to pull away from the negotiations with Devin Haney and to go ahead and move forward with actually starting a whole entire new negotiation with a fighter you guys are familiar with, Rolly Romero. This gentleman has been knocked out by Gervonta Tank Davis on Gervonta Tank Davis's biggest pay-per-view card he's ever had. No, excuse me, not the biggest, but a pretty big card. Ryan Garcia was the biggest one, but he got knocked out by Gervonta Tank Davis, and then on his fight with Ismael Barroso, that he has his WBA title with right now, he basically got just beat up and got a stoppage that I think a lot of fans would say was questionable for Ismael Barroso in a fight that Ismael was probably had a good opportunity of winning just by the way he was fighting Rolly Romero. But more importantly, Rolly Romero looked horrible in his last showing. And at the end of Ryan Garcia's last fight with Oscar Duarte, which also wasn't looking that great outside the fact that he stopped Oscar Duarte, he called out Rolly Romero. Well, Rolly Romero pulled out of those negotiations. There wasn't even any negotiations. He just was in an interview and basically said he wasn't interested in fighting Ryan Garcia and that he was actually, from what I understood, was looking in the direction of an Adrian Broner. Well, that being said, that negotiation with Adrian Broner, we don't know what happened, whether it didn't go through the right way for some reason or another. Rolly comes back after Ryan Garcia has already initiated a negotiation to fight with Devin Haney. He comes out of nowhere in the past couple of days saying that, hey, everybody knows the big fight is between me and Ryan. Ryan, let's make the fight. Well, Ryan responded to it accordingly, being honorable the way I thought he should respond to it, letting Rolly know, listen, man, you had your opportunity. We're not going to do that. I'm already in negotiation with Devin Haney. This is what's going to happen. Fast forward the timeline, we see Ryan Garcia communicating and intermingling with Floyd Mayweather, which we already know was going on behind the scenes, but at this point they decided to go ahead and put it out in the public eye, which I want you guys to understand, these things never happen by accident. They never happen. It's never a coincidence. Everything is a chess move. Everything is a piece being moved for an ultimate goal. Just like a chess game, every piece being moved has a narrative driven behind that chess piece being moved. It's never by coincidence. Floyd Mayweather is not out in places getting cameras thrown in his face against his will. You don't see that happening. You might think you're seeing that happen, but that's not what's happening. These are coordinated attacks, you can say, on the game, and he's always pushing an agenda. And I've said that in another one of my videos before, that you seeing Floyd there next to Ryan Garcia, there is an agenda being pushed one way or another. We'll see how it develops. Well, here's how it develops, ladies and gentlemen. While he's in the midst, he being Ryan Garcia, is in the midst of negotiating publicly, by the way. This is not rumor. This is Oscar De La Hoya's confirmed. I've been told to do this. I'm doing this. Devin Haney has confirmed. I've received contact. My team has received contact from Golden Boy to coordinate this. Ryan Garcia has confirmed. I told the team to do it. Everybody's an understanding that there's a negotiation going on and that there's a fight that they're working on setting up between these two gentlemen. Exciting. Awesome. On the tail end of a Devin Haney, Gervonta Tank Davis, Abdul Wahid, formerly known as Gervonta Tank Davis, just drama-filled cluster beep of a what you would call some sort of negotiation or fiasco. At the tail end of that, to see that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney were actually going to come out and coordinate a fight, there was some optimism put behind that. So now what happens? Ryan Garcia puts out a tweet a few days ago. Oh, Floyd Mayweather's my mentor. He's my advisor. You guys stop talking bad about Floyd. He's a great guy. There's a play. There's a play getting done. A play's being made. There's a play in the midst of being made that we're watching. And you guys have to open your eyes and understand how these things work. So what does Ryan Garcia do this morning? He puts out this tweet early in the morning. He puts it out that he's instructed his team to do something different and that Devin will be there at another time for them to fight. Well, I won't even get into the semantics of all the BS, all the antics of the BS. But I'll say this. Ryan Garcia is definitely being true to what got him to the big stage, which was mostly social media antics. He had an opportunity with his great amateur career. He came in around the same time as the Devin Haneys, the Shakur Stevenses, even the Tank Davises, all these guys. So he had an opportunity to build a reputation built around boxing. But that's not where his path was. His path was his affiliation with the Logan Pauls and the Jake Pauls and the social media platforms and all these different things that he's affiliated himself with seem to have brought him more popularity and more opportunity to being famous than actual boxing. So we will always know Ryan Garcia for this, right? So this really shouldn't be shocking. But I'll tell you what, though. The Ryan Garcia who spoke in the build-up to the Oscar Duarte fight, the Ryan Garcia with the new love for the sport, the invigorated, resurrected love for the sport of boxing, the Ryan Garcia who sacrificed and conceded to so many different things just to make a great fight for the fans with a dangerous opponent like Gervonta Tank Davis, understanding that we all understood he was an underdog going into that fight, but still, agreeing to catch weight rules and rehydration clauses and all those things to make this fight happen. The Ryan Garcia who went into the Oscar Duarte fight saying that his passion for boxing was here, who changed from his old coaches to a two-time coach of the year, Derek James, who did all the steps that we would think somebody who wanted to be a great boxer would do, who said he was just humble and just listening to his trainer and allowing other people to pick his fights for him, to pick the best fights. That Ryan Garcia took a nap when he took that tweet. That old Ryan Garcia is who we seen. And we have to connect the dots and say that Floyd has his foot in this, right? And it's getting close to the point between Ryan Garcia and Floyd Mayweather where they're getting very close to that conflict of interest that Oscar De La Hoya was talking about, right? Like they're not doing business, but they're doing some. It's possible, it's not there yet. Now we don't know that they're doing business, but all of a sudden, the stars are aligning in a way that would have somebody potentially put a magnifying glass to this relationship going on between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Ryan Garcia. But here's a bigger part. I have a question for the audience, for anybody listening. We talk about what's wrong with boxing today. You have the fan base, the casual fan base, who thinks nothing's wrong with boxing. The casual fan base is okay with their boxers not even fighting. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. They're really more into the boxers, the story around the boxer, right? How good looking the boxer is, what they're doing with their hair, what clothes are they wearing, what outfits are they wearing, what new purses are they rocking, what cars are they driving, how much jewelry do they own. That's the casual fan doesn't really need boxing so much. They're not really a fan of boxing so much as they are a fan of the fighters themselves. So you have these guys out there where their fighters can do no wrong. They require nothing of their fighters. So the fighters are doing nothing because they're getting paid even more money. Forget getting paid the same amount of money. They're actually being paid more money to not fight the fights that the boxing world wants to see happen. So these boxing fans seem to be growing and having babies like rabbits or roaches. Let's be honest, right? They're just coming out in the thousands, and the traditional boxing fan is sitting here trying to find his way through this maze, through this web of deception and nonsense that adds up. When the smoke is cleared, it adds up to us sitting here feeling thirsty, hungry, feeling unsatisfied, feeling bamboozled, seeing these fighters fight fights that we know we don't even care about these fights, but we're sitting here trying to sift through this, and every now and then a crumb will fall off the table, and us traditional boxing fans who want to see the best fight the best will get a fight every now and then. Every now and then it'll happen, but for the most part, it's a whole lot of just a whole lot of extra nothing on the table. And we're sitting here and they're telling us to pay pay-per-views for these fights. They're telling us to sign up for applications. They're telling us to show up in an abundant, in a huge way for fights that we all know going into the fight is not even a good fight, right? But the traditional fan who wants to see the good fight, well, it's a different story for us. So what's happening? Here's my question. We watched Gervonta Tank Davis's career from when he started. And what did we see? We saw he started off fighting good fights, and we understood that as a fighter, his promotional company was building him up. There was a plan to build him up to be the star that he was going to be. But as time started to go by, as fans, we started to ask questions. We wanted to see Gervonta do more. And it seemed as if Gervonta was on the same page as us traditional fans and understanding that, listen, man, I want to fight the best. It's not me. That was what it was, right? It wasn't Gervonta. It was his group around him. It was his team. His team being Floyd Mayweather, Leonard Ellerbe. You could put Al Heyman in there as well. Tom Brown. Calvin Ford, his trainer. The people around him were always getting the weight of the blame as far as what's going on with Gervonta's career, why we're not able to get the fights we want. I think Abdul Wahid started to drink that Kool-Aid as well. Like, maybe it's this. So what does he do? He leaves the money team. He gets his own promotional company, and he says, listen, this is a new day. I'm fighting these fights. We were all under the idea and the thought process that Tank Davis was going to be pursuing these large fights, and he did, right? Even though he did the little Hector Garcia thing, right? But ultimately, he ended up going to Ryan Garcia and giving us a big fight. Those were one of the four kings at one point in time. That was a big fight. He gave that to us, and then we started to become suspicious because, coming off of his court and all his legal issues, Devin Haney gets an offer for him for like about $20 million. Supposedly, allegedly, we don't know because why don't we know? Because the team over on Gervonta Tank Davis' side has not even tried to look into that deal to make it real or not real. So we're upset and we're waiting to see what's happening. Rumors are going on all in the background. Devin Haney is doing what he does, and he's about to set up a fight with Ryan Garcia, right? He's about to set up this fight with Ryan Garcia, and here he comes again. Floyd Mayweather, all of a sudden in the scene. And what happens? We don't see a great fight. Now we're supposedly getting ready to see Rolly Romero fight against Ryan Garcia, which is equivalent to Jake Paul fighting a great UFC fighter. Let's just say that. And I won't say a bad UFC fighter. It's equivalent. It's a match that means nothing to the fan base. If it would have happened, I mean, outside of Rolly Romero having a belt and that being able to help out Ryan as far as getting a belt in that division, I can see that angle a little bit. But at the same exact time, I think without a doubt, we know that when you look how it panned out as far as Ryan reaching out to Devin to make a fight, and then to see that all of a sudden he's changed his mind a few days after he's outside with Floyd Mayweather and tweeting in defense of Floyd Mayweather, it's safe to say that Floyd Mayweather had a huge part to play in what we're seeing happening today. So once again, us as the fans, we're looking with our mouths to the floor like, what is going on? My question is, what's really wrong with boxing today? Who's really behind this new style of boxing that we're seeing with all the fighters who don't want to lose their O's, who want to stay undefeated, who don't want to challenge themselves, who keep on bringing up things like pay-per-view numbers and money, and they bring these things up in a way that's unhealthy as far as the loyalty to the sport of boxing. A lot of people try to blame that on Floyd Mayweather. Oh, these guys are trying to be like Floyd Mayweather. And I'd always be one of those guys who say, nah, they're not trying to be like Floyd Mayweather, because they might be trying to get the money Floyd Mayweather got. But Floyd Mayweather fought 23 champions. Floyd Mayweather's career is a well-decorated career. He wasn't fighting nobodies. He was fighting all somebodies. How many Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers are on Floyd Mayweather's resume? So the question has to come. Is Floyd Mayweather good or bad for boxing at this point? You know, respectfully, as a boxer, Floyd Mayweather's been great to the sport. TBE, I happen to co-sign his feelings about being the best ever. I think he has every right to argue that. I think he has a lot on his resume and the things he's done in boxing as far as gates, getting money, as far as the amount of champions he's fought, and a plethora of other things that he's done in the sport. He has his right to stake his claim at TBE. But as far as what he's done for boxers' careers, I think we should re-examine that. Let's be honest and re-examine what's wrong with boxing today and who's at the center of it. This is not a good thing that Ryan Garcia did. His credibility would always have an asterisk next to it until I don't know what he's going to do to turn this corner, you know, but I can tell you there's a big disappointment on how he handled himself, on how he went into this negotiation, and how he just pulled out and went. Like, there's boss moves that he's made. Obviously, he's running his own career because he's the one, you know, he's being active on Twitter and communicating with the fan base that every move that's happening in his career right now, he's the one behind what's happening in his career. But at the same exact time, to see this pan out and watching it as it develops, and watching Floyd Mayweather's influence over Ryan Garcia and what Ryan Garcia is doing based off that influence, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. The question has to come into play. Is Floyd Mayweather good or bad for the sport of boxing at this point, and the way he's carrying himself, even with the way he's negotiating with Ryan Garcia, knowing that Ryan Garcia is in a promotional deal, in a management deal with Golden Boy. He's right on the line, tinkering right on the line of having some conflict of interest issues come up here, and the way he's handling that, you know. But I'll leave that to you guys. As far as Devin Haney's concerned, obviously his schedule's just opened up. Who knows what his next move's going to be? I mean, there are options on the table for him. I think Devin Haney also has to take this as a lesson, learn from this, and understand that when you start crossing lines with your career, which is heading down a road of legacy and greatness, and the things that he's doing right now that I honor, that I understand, and that I'm completely rooting for as a fan of boxing, I think he might take some time aside to really commit to outside of these social media giants, these Ryan Garcia type characters, Rolly Romero type characters. And unfortunately, I hate to say it because this guy's such a great boxer, but even the Gervonta Tank Davis characters that are in the game who sell boxing dreams and say that, you know, they're the greatest and they want all these accolades, but they don't want to give us fans the fights we want to see. But they're able to get rich based off of a casual fan base that is so huge, they don't need to care about the traditional boxing fan anymore. Even their peers have to admit, looking at them, when you hear the analysts speak about these fighters, they all are still bringing up the same questions. When is this going to happen? When are these fights going to happen? And it's getting to that point in the game where when you see something like this play out the way it did, and I'm talking about as far as Floyd Mayweather's strategic influence on how this situation panned out, this is not good for boxing. What happened right now with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney is not good for boxing. Who cares about him and Rolly? Somebody who hasn't fought in over 7 months, who's not in the gym, who's shown no interest in being a champion and defending his belts, who's, in all honesty, I wouldn't be shocked to see after Rolly Romero loses to Ryan Garcia, which is what I'm expecting to happen because I don't think Rolly's on Ryan's level. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't retire from boxing. So this is a money grab for him. His soul is for sale. We don't know what we're going to see in this, but this is social media antics written all over it. All over it. This is social media antics written all over this situation. But this is not good for boxing. Devin should consider embracing his legacy, unifying, getting belts, challenging himself, make his way to 147, go for the big fights, and let's see what happens with that. But crossing, being that Devin Haney doesn't really contain that social media presence that these guys do, in this space that he's in, he's not competitive in this space, in the popularity space. Even Ryan Garcia at the end of one of his tweets mentioning go sell 30,000 pay-per-views with Richard Hitchinson, Richardson Hitchens. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to be competitive in this space. They're always going to be able to throw mud on his career, on his resume, on what he brings to the sport, because he's trying to be competitive in a space that is not for him. His space is actual boxing. Devin Haney hasn't had the luxury of being a big social media star. He's had to earn everything he's doing inside of the ring. That's where his path and the trajectory to his success is on that path. I would eliminate these guys, and I would just focus on making a career so well decorated, so great that these guys would just be begging me to give their career some sort of legitimacy, be begging me to fight. But no more of this. You got baited into this one, Devin. Ryan Garcia tricked you once, don't get tricked twice. Go, move forward. You got Sabril Matias, who's holding an IBF belt with your name written all over it, and that's a great fight that can happen. That's for real boxing fans. Will enjoy that fight. Then after that, if you are going to fight Ryan Garcia, he better have some belts. He better have something on the table outside of his damn face. If it's just his face, we don't care. There's no reason to go take them belts, head up to 147, and we can stop wasting our time with this nonsense. But this is a big disappointment for boxing. I don't need to tell you how I feel about it. I am interested in how you guys feel about it. Go ahead in the comments, tell me what you think. I mean, the way this thing right here just panned out, it just raises eyebrows in many areas. And I hope that even Oscar De La Hoya, his eyebrows going up a little bit just to see that what's going on here. There's work and manpower being put behind negotiating these deals and trying to get these things squared away and trying to get places for these fights to happen. Rolly Romero is just not a bigger fighter than Devin Haney. The whole entire idea that Rolly Romero, a fight with Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia is a bigger fight is just a hype job BS narrative being pushed. It's just not true. Will it sell more pay-per-views? I don't know. I'm gonna tell you honestly, when it comes to pay-per-view sales and all these different things going on, I have little interest in them for the bigger picture, and the bigger picture being boxing, which is always the bigger picture, because that's what this is about. I'm sure they can sell it. Rolly will get on there on the press conferences talking crazy, coming out in fake fur coats and cheap sunglasses and his chest out with some cheap jewelry around his neck, talking about how he's the biggest thing and stuttering all over the place, sound like he's dealing with all types of mental blocks that he's trying to get past to be able to put out complete sentences. I mean, I'm sure he'll sell it. He'll do what he does, and maybe Ryan can go ahead and piggyback off that. I have a feeling that this press conference is going to be a children carnival. It's just going to be almost probably a blackout boxing to see how they're going to carry themselves. I don't know what to expect from the build up to this fight when it finally gets put together. But you guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Claymore Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. And listen, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you can get all those alerts when we're dropping this content. But at this point, we out.
Yeah, they hate when you elevate. You're stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate.